Hey, I'm Anthony Romano. I've been doing the ketogenic diet for 9.5 years, basically, and this is going to answer the question, do I think everybody needs to do keto? So the answer is no, but I do think everybody needs to get in the habit of accessing ketosis. So you don't have to do keto to access ketosis, and I'm going to explain this in this video because you're going to understand the benefits of routinely tapping into the ketogenic state and what the benefits are, okay? For some of you, this may be stuff you're familiar with. For others, you may be watching this and it's complete news to you. So we're going to get into it and also, get hyped for the Keto Manifesto and the Keto Shred program. Those are dropping very soon this month. Thank you for all the support, and let's get into this video. So, for starters, the only way to access ketosis is not simply ketogenic diet. Granted, the best way to get fat adapted is ketogenic diet, okay? So, keto diet means no carbs. That does not mean low protein and high fat necessarily. Those are simply a byproduct of the way of implementing, no carbohydrates. So, for a lot of people, they have to raise the fat, especially in the beginning. It helps to get adapted, but protein does not have to be necessarily low unless you're somebody who's very overweight because of reasons of insulin, but that's topics for other videos that I've explained before. So what other ways can you access ketosis? Well, you can force ketosis through exercise and clearing out your glucose. I'm going to have a video dropping on forcing ketosis soon so you can understand all of the ways and how deep you will get into ketosis based on each state and each activity. But the primary ways are either ketogenic diet, so not eating carbs, fasting, which is not eating anything, which includes not eating carbs, and then basically eating a moderate carb diet or even a high one, but just having enough exercise in the day to push through and use up all that glucose. Now, granted, if you're somebody who's on a chronically high carb diet all the time, the third one's going to be harder to get adapted with, but you will enter ketosis here and there. You might not even find it that enjoyable because your body's not really getting used to it. It simply wants you to go back to eating carbs. So perhaps the best practical recommendation is do keto for a month or two to get adapted, and then from there, start working carbs back into your lifestyle. Granted, the whole point of being adapted means that you're not going to crave those carbs at all anyways, so that's the exact moment when you're capable of doing so and bringing them back in. But the main point here is, for a lot of people, intermittent fasting is a great technique. Prolonged fasting, if you really are hardcore. But for a lot of people, if you were to do intermittent fasting the way you might already do it, right? If you were to take a month and get keto fat adapted, or even 2 months, depending if you're really, poor responder, and then from there work back in those intermittent fasting practices, now you're going to find fasting far easier. It actually will get better because fasting and the ability to fast is like a muscle. Particularly, it's your ability to maintain lower levels of glucose, and keeping it stable. So for a lot of people, even if you find intermittent fasting enjoyable, it's the tip of the iceberg for ketogenic diets, and it's allowing your body to slowly make more ketones through ketogenesis in your liver the longer you go without food, but particularly sugar. So realistically, another way to enter or maximize your fast would be to break it with a protein and fat dense meal. Keep the carbs out and then maybe slam them afterwards like a carb backloading style date. You can watch my video on carb backloading to understand that entirely. But the point is, when we're talking about health benefits you will receive, because I've told you all the ways you can get in and some general lifestyle structures you can have there. The other ways the benefits basically are, when you are in the ketogenic state, you're more likely to enter autophagy. This is basically your body's cellular repair mechanism. It basically means self-eating. But the way it translated in reality is that it means healing in the absence of sugar. Because when you're not eating anything, and when you don't have sugar coming in, your body goes, first of all, it has to tap into fat stores. But second of all, it has to look inward. When you have none of the quick usable fuel like carbohydrate, because carbs are basically a luxury fuel in nature. Okay, they don't grow for half the year in most parts of the world, and even if they did grow in some scarce part of the world like Hawaii, they wouldn't be around for that long. There wouldn't be as much of an abundance of them, and you certainly wouldn't be able to make damn fruit smoothies with them every single day. It just wouldn't happen. They don't last as long. Fruits, for example, don't last as long as the kind you can chunk preservatives into and then ship over from Guadalajara. So it just does not equate to what we consume nowadays. Doesn't mean it's a problem. Doesn't mean carbs are bad necessarily, or sugar is bad. Excess is bad. The inability to use up glucose or overload of non-used glucose is where the problem starts. There's great work on that as well from Peter Attia. But when we're talking about the benefits as well, first of all, you have accessing autophagy, accessing that cellular healing. And a great way to dive deeper into that pool is to do more fasting, prolonged fasting. If you hit at least an 18-hour fast every day, even if you're not, doing any sort of lower carbohydrate ketogenic diet, and don't get those two confused because they are two different things entirely, but any sort of lower carb diet and then fasting, then you're going to be more likely to enter or create some autophagy going on. But at the end of the day, if you want to amplify that and amplify your body's ability and the triggers that instigate autophagy, it'd be better for you to get fat adapted first. If you want to learn why I'm phrasing things the way I am, it's because of other research I've explained in other videos. But the thing is, part of the triggers for autophagy are lower access to certain proteins, okay? Also, lower access to sugar, okay? I'm going to nail the sugar thing because the protein stuff is basically any ketogenic diet, even if you don't want to do one, you don't have to have low protein, okay? But anyways, that's just an example here. And lower total caloric amounts coming in, you're going to have more autophagy. But you really can't do it if there's carbohydrate in your diet. It doesn't mean you're not going to have glucose running through your body because your liver is going to make all that you need, pure glucose, okay? So anyways, when we're getting into the other benefits, your body, if you give it sugar all the time and it's used to having sugar, it's simply going to make you feel crappy because it's going to make you wait until there's accessible sugar, and then your cells are going to use that, essentially. That's what your tissues are going to try to dominate, the fuel source. So that is, again, why keto and getting the body in a fat-adapted state is necessary to enhance the benefits of autophagy. And realistically, our ancestors would have been doing this half the year in the wintertime because carbs don't grow. They would have been fasting a lot more. They would have been eating ketogenic diet, and those two go hand in hand. They're siblings. So anyways, that's the primary way to access it and the benefit of autophagy. And, getting little scrapes of autophagy every day is something that's going to help you out. Granted, if you have a serious injury or something that you want to heal, prolonged fasting is the way to go. Watch my videos on how to do that properly. But when we're talking about, day-to-day scraping little bits of benefit from cellular healing, getting fat adapted and then fasting, somehow accessing ketosis is key. Okay, you have to understand, your body does not want to heal itself when there's sugar coming in, because sugar coming in means that your body can just take it easy and just take the quick usable fuel. Okay, it's like a snack, right? That's essentially what it is, if I had to make an example there. But the thing is, your body, if, for example, even with some of the people I've worked with for brain injuries, okay, a lot of the times it does come from just burning out the glucose system, okay? But as an example, people with dementia, with Alzheimer's, there's some great work from Stephen Coonan and Mary Newport, which I've referenced in other videos, that basically explains that the brain can rapidly take up ketones, and this will allow it to basically clear out, the sort of amyloid plaques. There's other work I've cross-referenced here that talk about the amyloid plaque removal. Now, if any of you know anything about the chemical structure of ketones, one of the ketones is literally acetone. Acetone is it's what's in nail polish removers and stuff like that. It's literally it removes plaques. That's the entire purpose of acetone. So I'm not not the entire purpose, but that's, one purpose here. And getting more acetone as a primary fuel source is going to clear up plaques. Do I think that's the entire reason? No. I think the other end of the reason here for brain repair is that when we're talking about the brain not wanting to heal itself in an abundance of sugar, it's because, even think about sleeping, okay? When you're asleep, your body's in its lowest glucose state of the day. Its lowest insulin state of the day. The brain cannot repair itself in the presence of a massive insulin spike. It can't do that. You can read other work and other videos I have on this, again. So the thing is, in the context of a giant insulin surge, the brain's not going to be, massively trying to repair itself. Why? Because it doesn't want to accidentally create tissue that is from vital organs with, possibly contaminated fuel, okay? Because sugar may commonly be packed with other contaminants, okay? Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean sugar's bad for you, but it means that a lot of times, excess sugar is bad for you, but a lot of times when you're getting a food, example, a lot of people have allergies to wheat proteins. A lot of people have, sensitivities to certain anti-nutrients in certain fruits, or for example. And the thing is, certain sugars are going to absorb the chemical contaminants from the world. Okay, so a lot of times your brain, if you're consuming sugar, it's not going to want to repair itself with sugar in case there's contamination. So the way this basically manifests itself is that, on one hand, you have the presence of fats and basically ketones go into the brain for fuel. Okay, after you get adapted, your brain's going to use more. About 75% of the ketones are going to go to your brain. Okay, because it's basically a brain fuel. The purpose of ketones as a fuel is to fuel your brain. They only start fueling your body when people are new. The primary distinction between fat adaptation and regular keto is that you start to use free fatty acids more so as a fuel source in your body. And a lot of your ketones are going to the brain. That's the primary purpose of ketones. So it's meant to be a balance of ketone and sugar, small amounts of sugar going to the brain from gluconeogenesis, from the liver. That's basically the purpose of gluconeogenesis, because a lot of that's going to your brain. And it's pure glucose, okay? It's glucose that your liver had made from the body, okay? When you have sugar coming in from external sources, it could be contaminated. Your brain does not want to rebuild itself with contaminants coming in, because if you build one wrong brain cell, that's how you get cancer and organ failure. So for a lot of the more important organs, your body's not going to do this. It wants to rebuild it with fat. And during the nighttime, when your sugar's low, this is the most restful reparative state. Why? They always tell you the sleep is very important. Why? Because your brain is in a state where it can repair, and there's no food coming in. So your blood sugar is going to be more stable. You're going to have a higher accessibility to send fuel to the brain because you don't have a giant sugar and insulin surge. So when we're thinking of, brain injuries, dementia, Alzheimer's, your brain would rather not repair itself than repair itself with something that is contaminated, which is why the plaques, the amyloid plaques, literally get there. That is what they are. It's literally the brain does not want to repair itself. It's safer for your brain to not repair itself than to repair itself with possibly contaminated ingredients. So it's not going to do this. And again, this doesn't mean sugar is all bad. Only excesses of glucose more than you can handle is bad. So if Michael Phelps can burn off all his sugar, then he's good. But I've worked with people who have had a diet very similar to Michael Phelps and a lifestyle, in fact, the swimmers who have had similar athletic lifestyles, and they burnt out the glucose system in their brain. They couldn't use glucose transporter number 3 effectively anymore. Okay? So you just cannot have, all the time massive sugar, and a lot of these reparative benefits come from the purging of sugar. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you do it through ketogenic dieting, but you will get better at it if you do ketogenic dieting for at least 2 months and then start doing whatever the hell you want. So, yeah, that's essentially that. And, as far as healing and repair go, of course, those things are important. But there's also the stable blood sugar, okay? So if you want more willpower, better intelligence, better ability to remember things, better ability to film 15-minute videos without stuttering and remembering all the details you need to remember, freeform. That's how I do these videos. I read a lot and then I just throw it all at you. So unless I'm doing a video that's oriented at showing you studies, I really like to just pull from everything that I've read and throw it at you so you can understand the narrative. So now, for a lot of people, that could mean try to get keto adapted for a month or 2, and then go into the same fasting regime you've been doing before, right? And eat your carbs, whatever you want. Granted, if you have some serious problem, you definitely want to tap into ketosis and probably even fast a bit, okay? That's what you want to do. But overall, the principle is if you take home the importance of the ketogenic state, regardless of how you got there, you will take home all the benefit, okay? You will be working. Why do people say you get better mental focus when you're fasting? Same reasons ketogenic diet works, okay? You actually just get a more amplified benefit from going into the deeper end of the pool with ketogenic dieting or prolonged fasting. And also, with the sleep thing I was talking about earlier, your body is in its most building anabolic state when you're asleep, okay? When you're resting, when your insulin is low and your blood sugar is stable, okay? Or your insulin's lower. Both of them are stable is the point. But the thing is, how can this not be an anabolic state? You don't need sugar to be in an anabolic state. That is one of the biggest myths that we're told. Granted, insulin is the body's most anabolic hormone, right? In strict sense of the word, okay? It builds tissue. That's all anabolic means. It doesn't mean muscle building necessarily. It means building muscle in all tissues, okay? So in general, this is the most anabolic state everybody agrees on. It's consensus. Sleep is the most anabolic state, okay? Now, insulin is useful for building things, but it is not the only way to build things. It is not required in excess to build things, okay? And in fact, when you're asleep, your insulin's the lowest part, that is all day, okay? So I'm not going to break down anything more. I think I've thrown a lot at you in a short enough time to make this video marketable enough so that you can understand some of the breadcrumbs and go down the rabbit holes deeper with my other videos. So do that. Go watch more of them, okay? And subscribe to my page and like this video so YouTube shows it to more people. And be excited for the Keto Manifesto. It explains some of these things as well, and a lot of the other benefits, and also the Keto Shred program is a great way to implement it, especially if we're talking about using ketogenic dieting for rapid fat loss. Okay, this is my best fat loss program that I ever could have put together. It took me a year, and probably even longer than that, but at the same time, you got to realize almost a decade's worth of keto experience has went into this, and multiple years of coaching people with a variety of different scenarios. I've seen every single body type, overweight woman, overweight man, underweight woman, underweight man, athletic person with XYZ problem, neuropathy problem in the back, in the knees, okay, lots of these different brain injury, okay, and athletic person brain injury. I've seen every single permutation imaginable with keto dieting. That's why I specialize in keto. I've dedicated myself to getting to the bottom of keto and all of its uses, and I've extracted out the principles that were common amongst everybody and thrown them into this shred program. So get it if you want to learn how to do it properly and just get taken right away to the promised land and not have to figure this shit out for yourself, okay? That's it.